Hi guys, I'm Mike Beliveau, and as you can tell, I'm coming to you from the kitchen table again, uh, which is hardly ideal. There are going to be background noises and, obviously people in the house and things like that. But I wanted to give you an update on what's going on with my health and with the channel, and I thought this was a good time to do it. So we'll just start off with, the obvious thing. As many of you know, I had last Wednesday, I had a total hip replacement of my right hip. And it went very smoothly, I'm happy to say, and I really needed it. When the operation was over, the doctor said to me, he said, "Mike, I do a lot of these, and I can't remember if this is the worst one I ever did, but I can't remember ever seeing a worse one." And anyway, it's been amazingly better. So, considering all the stuff that they do to you, it's quite amazing. They had me up and walking 2 hours after the surgery, which everybody who's had a hip replaced says, duh. But still, it's just hard to believe that that's possible when you consider that they cut you open, cut the top of your humerus, your thigh bone off, pound basically a railroad spike into the end of the bone, screw a steel plate onto your pelvis, and then stitch you back up in layers and send you on your way, basically. I was home the next day. And, it's not a bed of roses, but my recovery's going very well. I'm already walking better than I have for the last 3 years. I mean, it's funny. I'm going to tell you something. I did not realize I needed a new hip until I got x-rayed for it this past spring. For years, I thought I had tendonitis. And for years, I mean, it wasn't bad enough. It hurt, and I was limping a bit, but yeah, it wasn't bad enough to stop me from doing anything I wanted to do. I still camped, I hunted, I did everything. So I just thought, well, I got tendonitis, and I've had it before in my life. But the amazing thing to me is, I can't tell you how many doctor's offices I limped into for checkups or whatnot, and nobody ever said, "Man, you should get that hip checked out." No. They apparently thought that my medical degree was as good as theirs, that my self-diagnosis was perfect, because I'll tell you what, I would have done this like 3 years ago if I'd have known. And if I'd been x-rayed 3 years ago, I would have known. Because when they took out my hip, which I asked them to save for me, but they say they can't. They have to send it in for pathology and that sort of thing. Because I was going to mount it on a plaque. When they took out my hip, it was not only bone on bone, but the ball of my hip was actually deteriorating. It was wearing away from being sanded away from the awful arthritis in my pelvis. So I could barely get around. I mean, literally, I was using a cane, and I was just staggering from one support to another. It was awful. Just awful. And already, I feel much better. I'm walking much better. I'm doing the whole bit. And that's only, at this point, it's only been like, 4 days since I did it. As I'm recording this, when you're going to see it, it'll have been a week. But so far, knock on wood, been very good. So for all of you who sent prayers my way or good thoughts, I'm going to tell you, and if for those of you who are atheists or whatever, then just don't listen to this. Don't feel bad. But I'm going to tell you something I don't ordinarily talk about, which is that I do believe in God. I am not probably the best Christian in the world. That's okay. But I do believe in God, and I pray every day. And I think that God is a force for good in our world. And I hope that you all believe in God, and whatever you call him, I hope he's a good one. Because there is evil out there. But my thought on prayers is this. I pray. And when I was younger, I would pray for things like a new bicycle, or that some girl would like me. that sort of thing. Now I'm older and wiser, or at least incontrovertibly, I am older. And I rarely pray for good outcomes for myself. Uh, I give thanks for the good things in my life, like Mary Pat and my two sons, uh, and for all the good things, because I've had and still have a great life, and I'm thankful for that. And I ask for good things to come into their lives. But what I ask for myself generally is the fortitude and grace to accept whatever's coming my way the next day. And for years, that's been what I pray for at night, not to make it better. I know it's this way for a reason. Life is not fair. It's not always fun. And I've had a bad 2 years. And I think it's going to get better now. But if something goes wrong, it goes wrong. If I get an infection, they have to open me up again. That'd be awful. But there's nothing I can do about it except do all the things the doctors say. And if things go sideways, they go sideways. So I pray for the fortitude to accept the things that I have to accept in my life with grace. Now, what I feel about your well wishes and prayers is really pretty simple. I do believe that they're effective, and I don't believe that God can be petitioned to make things better for me. So I think if you are praying for a good outcome for me, that's not quite the way it works. Though I appreciate that, because I think what happens is that is channeled to me, and it bolsters my inner fortitude and my inner grace, and it helps me to get through this stuff. I think every one of you that have sent prayers and good thoughts my way, I do believe that there's an effectiveness of that, and I do appreciate it. And believe me, I pray for those in my life who are facing adversity. So I'm sorry if this is a little too much God talk. It's way more personal than I usually get, but I've just been through a pretty personal thing. So there you have it. So anyway, I'm doing better. I mean, I'm not there yet. It's a long recovery. But I think by this spring, I'll be back out of the range shooting stuff. And I got lots of stuff to shoot that I haven't done anything with. All sorts of things. So in fact, I don't have much up here with me because I'm banned from my shop. At this point, technically I can go up and down stairs, and actually I do. But I have to use a walker to walk everywhere. And I've asked if that's really necessary, and the doctors have said, yes, it's really necessary, because if you use a cane or you walk without it, even though I can do that, they said you're putting too much strain on that new railroad spike in your hip that has not fused to the bone yet, and you can do yourself some harm. So I'm sleeping in a bedroom set up in the living room down here instead of my upstairs bedroom, and my shop and my office are both down in the basement. And even though technically I could get myself down there, I could not move once I'm there because I cannot get a walker down there. So I'm effectively banned from my shop or from my office, probably for another 4 weeks at least. We'll see. But until I'm cleared off of the walker, there's not much I can do on that. So therefore, there are things I just can't do for you that I like to do, even while I'm home. But eventually I'm going to be cleared for that. And I have a few projects I'm going to do, and you're going to be seeing next week a video I did, the last thing I did before I left the shop. In fact, I did it the day I was banned from my shop before surgery, because I was cutting myself, accidentally scraping myself, and I had the surgical team on the phone, because if you do that stuff, they can't operate because their fear of infection is tremendous. And the pre-admissions nurse said to me, she said, Mike, get out of your shop, don't go back there. She said, wrap yourself in bubble wrap and don't move for the next 2 weeks, which is impossible to do, of course, but I did the best I could. So the last thing I did in the shop was to work on installing that gated cursed conversion cylinder on another gun so that you could see it, because the first gun I did, my camera flubbed out while I was doing that process and you never got to see it. So this time you will. Now you won't get to see the gun all the way to functional. It'll look like it is, but it's not. And I'm going to explain why in that video, because there's one more thing I have to do and I have not been able to do it yet, and it'll be a little while before I can go down and do it, and when I do, we should be in business. But you'll see me at least cutting that that loading trough, and that'll be good. So that right now is the last video that I've got queued up to run in the stuff that I did before I went. I have not done much this week because I'm concentrating on PT, as you can imagine, and icing my leg and that sort of thing. So hopefully, though, that is all getting better. I'm doing a little bit of work. So what's coming up? Well, there's a few things coming up. While I'm here, I'm working on the another TV Guns video, The Guns of Briscoe County Jr. And this is a show that I did not watch when it was on in the 90s because I thought it looked stupid. But a lot of people have convinced me that I really should be trying to do that. I should take a look at it, and I did. And you know what? It's great. I mean, it's a little quirky. It's got its thing, but really, it's a great show, and I enjoyed it. And it's got some interesting guns to look at, so I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be doing the gunfights of Dallas Stoudemire, and he was a city marshal in El Paso, a noted gunfighter, and he had some unique armament that he used as well. So I'm going to be going through his gunfights in his very brief life, and be a real lesser-known Old West denizen that I hope that you'll enjoy hearing about. So I've got him set. I'm doing work on Frank Hamer. He's the Texas Ranger who tracked down Bonnie and Clyde and, orchestrated the shootout that took them out. That has taken me a while, and I'm doing his gunfights, but he lived for a good long time and was very active and has a lot going on. It's just a lot for me to piece together, but I am working on that. I'd like to do the Guns of Lonesome Dove. That is pretty ambitious. Got here. But pretty neat. So at some point I'm going to do that. And the next TV show after Briscoe County Jr. that I do, I believe, will be Hell on Wheels. And then I may circle back to Rawhide. So those are things that are coming up. Now, I've got a ton of guns that I'm going to shoot once I can shoot this spring. And one that I have up here with me, because I didn't have a chance to bring it to the shop when I was up here working on it, is this Remington that's called the Old Silver Remington. It's a Pieta. And it is quite a lovely gun. And it is the gun that Lee Van Cleef used in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which he used in percussion mode, even though he's got bullets on his belt loop. So this is a gun that I hope to be shooting this spring, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I've got a cross-draw holster, much like he used. I'm also going to be shooting my Clint Eastwood snake guns this spring. I'll be shooting a bunch of cartridge conversions I worked on. I'll be shooting the Jim West gun that I put together, and I'll probably be shooting Bat Masterson and Wild Bill Hickok homage guns. So all that'll be coming up once I'm able to get back to the range, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to doing shooting for you guys, along with the history and the TV stuff. That I've had to do that because I've been so immobile, particularly for the last 8 or 9 months. But I'm hoping those days are changing, and soon I'll be out at the range burning black powder again. And I still have nerve damage in my left arm that makes it difficult for me to hold a rifle, but I'm working on that, and I'm hoping that maybe by this spring I'll be back to doing some flintlocking stuff. And there is some stuff I want to do, particularly some smoothbore stuff that you have not seen before. So that's the news for me. I appreciate all of your thoughts, your prayers, your well wishes, all the many questions that you've had. I'm doing fine, and I hope to continue doing fine. And next week, you'll see me back in the shop again. So until next time, bye.